Hello, everyone. This is Tina, and today I have my Life and Stories hat on. I actually have my first podcast guest coming in just a little bit at 10 o'clock, and the title of that podcast is going to be The Psychological Aspects of the Wrongly Accused. So, we're going to talk about truth right now. I needed to do a test run, so I've got um, my Facebook Live, my podcast, and then my phone recording to see how this is going to go. I've been a guest on many podcasts, but I've never ran my own, so bear with me. I'm kind of looking around and making sure the ambiance is good. So I want to talk about truth because that is how Life and Stories came about. Originally, it was called My Life and Stories. I opened up the Facebook page actually on January 1st, on New Year's Day. I wanted 2020 to be much different than 2019. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way due to no part on me. I obviously could not even fathom a pandemic such as what we've had and some other things. But anyways, I want to go back to the word truth. What is truth? Now, when I thought about the subject I was going to use for my trial podcast, this was before any political situations occurred. So, very hard not to be political because it just right now is not my main focus. My main focus is about truth. My main focus is about people who are wrongly accused. I'm doing a couple of podcasts based on that. So I can do a project with the Innocence Project of Florida because I'm highly interested in helping the underserved, the underprivileged, and now because of things that happen in my life, those who are wrongly accused, especially in our justice system. But I will get to that at 10 o'clock when I have my guest speaker. I have a psychiatrist coming in, Andreas, and we'll get to that. But for now, I'm just kind of doing a test drive, if you will, and talk a little bit about how Life and Stories came about and go from there. I don't even know what camera to look at, so bear with me while I kind of record this and look it over and decide how the 10 o'clock show should commence. So, truth. Truth is funny, right? Truth, we all think, who decides what is true? Who decides what is fact? Who decides what we believe? So I kind of did a little research because I never really thought about it. I just took facts and truth in what I was told, growing up or what have you, as something I needed to believe in. So I looked up the definition, and that our Webster dictionary says truth is a fact or belief that is accepted as true. Okay, here's the problem. We have people who believe one set of truths, and then we have others that believe another set of truths. So, how do you mend the two together, or how do you allow different people to believe different truths? So, I kind of delved a little further, and we have something called identity truth, and we have something called historic truth. And those are the only two I want to talk about in this segment. So, identity truth is where we grow up looking at objects or letters and we're told this is an A, this is a circle, this is a square, this is a rectangle. That's what's called identity truth. So, we assign a word on an object or, a symbol or what have you, and we are told that's what that is. Now, interestingly enough, if you think about some languages, they overlap each other. So one word or letter might mean something in one language, but means something completely different in another. So who's truth? Who's actually fact-based? Who is true? Again, that is up to the person who is assuming the truth. And then we have historic truth, and that's the one that I'll be talking about a lot. And historic truth is a set of facts that have happened and in some way is recorded as being true. Now, that's where the court systems come in. We talk about historic truth and sometimes fact-based truth. Sometimes we have science that comes into our court system, and we kind of also, if you've taken any kind of science class, you've had to do experiments, and you have an hypotheses, and you do a set of experiments, and then or a theory, and then you come up with a conclusion, and we are considering a conclusion some sort of truth. Okay, so I digress. Back to how life and stories came about. As many of you know, I had a very close friendship with somebody for 37 years since we were very young, and we had this episode happen, this falling out, over 2 years ago, and then I was assaulted with non truths. And these non truths, if you will, won't call them lies right now until we get the psychiatrist in, um, re- almost wrecked my life. But lucky for me, there is a system in place, thank goodness, and in which someone's truths to them can be torn down, broken apart and labeled as false, or not true. So, my original message of my life and stories, when I'm telling people that didn't know me about what had happened to me, it was unbelievable to them. And they kept saying, wow, I can't believe this. It's like a movie, it's like a book, things you read, blah, blah, blah. So, I got the idea of writing a book about it, with the help with my therapist, because I was devastated by these series of events initially. So I allowed this person's truths to take over my life, my business, my family, my friends, until I was strong enough to push back and say, no, this is not true. This is really what happened. So this is called a historic truth. And luckily for me, I had a lot of historic truths on paper, on emails, on text messages, on tax returns, on journal ledgers, on all sorts of accounting things. You have it. So I was able to show that my truth actually was reality. Now, obviously, in our political arena right now, we're all trying to decide what's truth, what's not. So I find that interesting. Um, I've been watching that from a distance, not in a political sense. I'm watching what's happening from a philosophical sense of how a lot of people can believe one thing and then a whole other group believe another. And somehow we need to maybe push back the non sequential truths and just concentrate on being good people. Don't know how we're going to get there, but again, I don't want this to be political. I'm just saying we have this big thing going on about truth and about facts. And I just recently had to overcome a false narrative from someone, and push back and make sure that I did not allow this false narrative to control my life. And I was very successful in that. So, truth, it's tough. And, I question more things probably in the last 10 years than I have ever had in my life. I have to find my own truth. Um, I'm a firm believer in science because if I can see it, I'm okay with that. But when I read things now, I'm constantly researching it because I feel like I have to make my own decisions. And some things that are put out there are propaganda. There are some things that are said that the person who's saying it believes in their head that that is reality and that's true, so they don't understand anything else. And we'll talk about that in the next segment. But I hope you join us at 10 o'clock again. It'll be called the psychological aspects of the wrongly accused, and we're not going to just talk about my story. We have some other stories we're gonna delve on. So if you've ever been wrongly accused at work, in a relationship, in a court system, a friendship, definitely pop on, and I'm going to have Andreas with me, and we're going to talk about what it does psychologically, not only to the accuser and the accused, but the people around them, okay, who might be forced to, make a choice. So Thanks for hanging in on me. Like I said, this is just my test. I got to figure out how all this works. Love my new space in my podcast studio. And I'll see you back in about a half an hour, okay? Thanks so much.